Greetings, ladies and gentle players. It is another wonderful Friday. This is July of 2021, making it a wonderful day for basics. But hold on, there's more. While back, I had a viewer redeem for 100,000 channel points a topic that they wish to have a video made of, which is over-concentrating stuff and not being over-concentrated in return. And I thought that does sound like a pretty reasonable topic to hit up there and yield basics. So that's what we're going to do today. We're talking about over-concentrating shapes, both, your opponents and hopefully not yours. I'm going to look at some real game examples of shapes that were over-concentrated. I'm going to look at some real examples of shapes that avoided being over-concentrated because they recognized that it was, kind of happening. More on that later. And just in general, go through some of the more common shapes right now that that pop up that can or can't be over-concentrated. So yeah, we have lots to do here, lots to unpack, lots to take a look at. Just like Baduk.club has a lot of Go sets that you can take a look at over on their store's website over at Baduk.club, or there's a lot of places you can look at to perhaps play Go in, using their handy-dandy little map feature, so you can find someone around you to play Go with, assuming it is safe for y'all to do so. But yeah, Baduk.club, the one-stop shop for in-person Go. Make sure you head on over and check it out. So right off the bat, when I was like, how am I going to do this lecture? Over-concentrated. What's a really, really common thing right now that's getting over-concentrated? And then it's obvious. It's obvious. You probably know it even before I click it. You got this, you got this, you got that right there too. And depending on your rank and how things go, it is entirely possible, mind you, that your opponent might play away. Maybe they played like over in here and they went to an approach into like an enclose or something. We're seeing a lot of that nowadays. So, you, being a person who doesn't like your opponent, just getting away with not answering their own stuff, you decide to go ahead and kick, they extend. You do a two-space pincer because, if you play too close, our opponent can lean on us, which, isn't the end of the world, but it does begin a cycle of over-concentration that we're going to be seeing repeatedly. For example, here you could fight this, and this stone, sure enough, could get killed, potentially, or not, hard to say. If they try to run it this way, you don't really know where it's going. Hypothetically, let's just say we can Atari here, and gosh darn it, the stone's killed. Well, that is going to be one of the reoccurring themes on how something can die. Like, you have to keep playing moves, or not die, but be over-concentrated. You keep playing moves to take away just 2 points. Suddenly now you've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stones here that were used to just kill one thing. Not so great here. So instead of playing, things like that, or things here where you kind of have the reverse, you get like a little cut this way, maybe you're going to go ahead and do a two-space. That way you're not pincering too closely. It's harder to lean on your pincering stone. And they're going to run away. But gosh darn it, you know what? We don't really want to play away from here because our opponent can start attacking us, make us over-concentrated, and we're just a stick. That right there is the next very, very common one. If you're not killing off a low number of stones with way more stones, another way to concentrate is to put them into this little stick formation. And it occurs way more often than you think. Like here, if black played away, yeah, we can go and poke it a 1 point jump because it's going to get all stickly. That said, there was no reason for white, or for white to be able to do that to black, because black could do that first to white. You see? Now, another part of being over-concentrated is playing away from a group that is weak. Like, sure, this was made into a stick, but we play away from the group that could be potentially weak suddenly our opponent can attack, and now everybody's overconcentrated. Like, nobody's happy right now. I'm going to exaggerate some of the moves right now, but you can see that, like, no one's happy. No one's happy. Like, everybody is just, like, constantly just struggling with bad shape. Not the best moves in the sequence, but you can see the general thought process on how both sides are poking at each other to overconcentrate the other. So in this instance, where black plays away, before black plays away, we could make the group heavy and then get a base here. If we have a base, it's going to be that much harder to overconcentrate our shape. So the only person who's really overconcentrated is going to be white and not black. You see how that goes? This is the first part of the basics where we're looking for, big moves. Big moves are important, and we're going to be looking at that in junction with this in a minute. But it's also getting a base for weak stuff, because if we don't get a base for weak stuff, then our opponent could turn around and make us into a stick, or just overconcentrate us completely, and thus we have a bunch of stones that aren't really being utilized effectively. They're just yucky. So getting a base here with a weak root nicely dodges that, and noting that we don't want to play away right now, because maybe that could mean our opponent has shape and we don't, and we are heavy and disgusting. So you see how that goes? And that's a very, very, very common position right now. We're seeing a lot of the playing away, which is giving just awesome examples to overconcentrate with. Another one that you're going to see very, very commonly is, of course, this little guy, right? The attach over here. What does this thing want to do? Well, there's a few things that it can do. The most common one is this one, into something like this one, into something like this one. Now, the annoying thing about this shape is there's an entire Joseki built on the idea that we don't want to be overconcentrated. For example, you see this formation a lot. And then it is completely normal for black to poke the shape point, because the shape point is like here or in here, right? For a nice shape for white. It's completely normal for black to poke this, and also completely normal for white to not connect here, because there's the fear of being overconcentrated. Like, you might be saying, oh, no, he can't do that to me, because this stone, I can kill it. I can attach here. Tell me more. Well, then I can just, after he Hanes, I can just go and play here. Okay, yeah, you're right. Sure, tell me more. And then when he tries to drop down to kill my 2 stones, I can just kill the 1 stone. And then that's what's my opponent going to do. He's going to look like an idiot, because I was able to kill 1 stone with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 okay, yeah. That's a little overconcentrated. Got it. So you don't see that, and what do you see instead? You see, kill it. Kill the 4 stones. I'm gonna get influence, and I'm not connecting that up, because I'm gonna be overconcentrated if I do, and I don't want that to happen. So that's where this kind of weird sequence is coming about. You see that a lot lately, where we're just like, yeah, blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. I think it's something like that. And then yeah, these are dead in exchange for, force feeding this later and just being all good. So that's where variations like that are coming from. And going back to here, that's also where basics rears its ugly head in again. It's like, hey, remember me when I've been, concentrating on good shape and all that? Well, now that we understand shape points, you can see a shape like this and be like, yeah, I think this group is missing a move here, right? It needs like a base, or there's like a poke here or something, needs to do that. So once we have good understanding of shape, then we get understanding of shape points. And once we have an understanding of shape points, we can start poking at those shape points to make them heavier, especially if your opponent is being a greedy little jerk face and isn't going and making the shape that they're supposed to be making to make themselves nice and, solid and strong. Then you can come in and be like, hey, poke, poke, poke. I'm gonna ruin your shape here, sir. And just, crumble you up into a disgusting group. Like, even here, if you don't take the shape point directly and you do like a two-space pincer again, like, this is still over-concentrated. We don't like this. Is just living. That's it. That's all this is doing, right? This is more efficient than this by far, and even these two stones will probably be more efficient than this group here as well. And being able to recognize that and do something about it, fantastic. And what's really crazy is there's some Joseki that overconcentrate themselves, and you got to do nothing about it. That one is in favor of like the high approach, right? You get the high approach, and some people are like, "Oh my god, I see like I don't know, the sport's gonna suck, but I don't care." Yeah, here, right? We're gonna have a nice little enclosure here, and then like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? We have to pincer before they got something here. But the weird thing about this is the Joseki here over-concentrates itself, right? This is the Joseki. Black picks up a nice healthy amount of points, and then later on, oh yeah, that ain't efficient. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stones to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. Oh yeah, that ain't good. That ain't good. Some Joseki are heavily in quotations because they're not really that even, and they leave like things behind to really over-concentrate themselves. So they have to commit to an extra stone in Gote later on to avoid that kind of concentration. There's very few Joseki like that, though. This is one that springs up to mind the most because a lot of people do high approach on the 4/4 points, not always being aware of the doom they are spelling for themselves later on if they don't get a nice timing on D2. So if that's you and you like high approach on 4/4 points, all I'll say there is just beware. Still sticking on the theme of really common Joseki that we see a lot and can easily be over-concentrated. Here's one that even Don players kind of mess up occasionally. I know this because I saw three accounts of this in the past like week alone. So you got the 3/4 point. We might have an approach. We have a low pincer. So the light's probably going off in some of your heads right now. You can attach to the 3/4 to settle. Your opponent might make a 2-space to get like a little bit of a base here. We go on in to live in the middle, and then bam, because we didn't protect our shape point, which essentially is this little guy right now, because this thing here is not defended, the minute we push, we poke at the cutting point. Cutting point's been nice and open because of this little approach stone. And then suddenly, we have a group here that's completely over-concentrated. White is not alive locally, as you can see here. Okay, actually go away. Prove it by playing away. There we go. As you can see here, this is dead locally. Might try to do this shape instead. Again, just dead locally. So yeah, over-concentrated shape. Didn't have to be. Joseki is usually kicking here into playing that to make sure you don't have that same over-concentrated sort of dealio happening to your group where you should be completely fine and alive in one area, but because you defended yourself in the wrong area or in the wrong sequence of moves, suddenly your vital point is just like blinking at your opponent, and the minute they slap down that stone, boom, it's just almost at the beginning of the game. I ain't gonna cap. Beginning of the game, you could lose off that mistake. A group that should be fine, becoming a group that has to run. That's a huge amount of pain. Huge amount of pain. That's something we do not love to see. Something else we're seeing a lot lately is a 3/3, and there's a temptation to double Hane here. It looks pretty fine. The danger here, of course, is there's a little bit of a chance to be over-concentrated here for black. How, you might ask? By forcing black to kill off these 2 stones. Remember how we mentioned that originally? I think the very first example we had was forcing someone to use 7 moves to kill 2. Here, if we could use this and, grow off of it, not over-concentrated is pretty good. Maybe you could even do something like this and grow this way too. Nice, efficient use of stones. You got some your cornerback, you got some stones killed. We're building. We are pog champing, as the kids say. However, danger of a variation like this is there's still this one, right? This little move here to just force 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stones to kill 3. So 8 for 6 points. Not the best. That's not gonna lie. That's not the best exchange in the history of ever. Yeah. Using 8 stones just to capture 6 points. That's overconcentrated. Very, very inefficient use of stones there, which is why you're seeing a lot of 3-3 variations kind of going out of control. Anything to kind of like avoid the overconcentration that we're seeing here too. And I know some of y'all are going to be like, nah, there's ways that you could try to overconcentrate your opponent too. Yeah, maybe hypothetically, but still, that's just, I'm overconcentrated, so I now need to overconcentrate someone else, and it's just a battle of the overconcentrated groups, right? So that's kind of not changing the fact that we're still overconcentrated. Now, there's also some mid-game Joseki where things get rather over-concentrated pretty quickly. So let's go over those as well. This is going to probably be an hour-long video. Holy crap, I haven't even touched my examples yet. So this is very straightforward, right? You get approached, you back off, they go into a star point, and then around mid-game somewhere, you've got different invasion options. The attachment is generally one favored by Dawn players because it offers a lot of flexibility. And this attach is an attempt to kind of over-concentrate while getting something out of it. Like you would see the Hane into the Hane a lot, you would see the Atari into the Extend, and then depending on the variations that both players want to choose, you might see the Atari, which often goes into a Ko here. Weird. Why go into a Ko? I mean, why not just avoid that and take this? Because unfortunately, the minute you commit to that, you've become this weird heavy shape that at present is only making like 2, maybe 4 points, and we're not even fully settled yet. So we kind of, both sides are committing to a Ko, because black is happy, because if white picks this, over-concentration occurs. And white's going to avoid this, because not because, you know, there's some super weird, crazy, aggressive player, but because, yeah, they can't allow themselves to have that variation play out on the board. And because of variations like that, you also have Joseki popping up where instead of Atariing, white will extend up again to fight the ladders. Again, it's like, why are they playing so complicated? It's like because there's a lot of ways to over-concentrate a position that one or both players are trying to dodge. Right? So then you have think. The Atari down into the Hane, into an Atari. Get rid of that ladder. Go ahead and turn again. Force the capture there too. Into some kind of like extend back. Like, yeah, all the stones here are kind of dying, right? But it's better than the other position where we were just going to... Well, generally, it's better than the other position when we're going to play here. Unless there's another reason why you want to avoid it. Global positionings do matter, but generally speaking, we just don't want to be in this one, if that makes sense. So those are just the Joseki that pop out as the most common that can get over-concentrated right now, the ones that are most commonly being played, that have very, very common sequences where, you know, things can get kind of just like bunched up and ugly. This is a game that I'm going to show you from one of my games against a 7-Dan. And it features the same idea as you want to put your opponent into that kind of stick formation to make them very, very, very inefficient. So the game begins, blah, blah, blah. Double 3-4 facing. Nice. I was black, by the way. We approached, and I'm taking a local loss here because there's variations that I just don't like. I mean, I guess I can show you while we're talking about it. One that I am not a fan of is this one. Like, I just don't like the shapes that we're making here. So I just didn't want to play this. I've been seeing that variation a lot lately. I figured when he was playing it, that's what he was going for, so dodged it. Whatever, who cares? Taking a local loss here, I'm getting surrounded. I don't care, it's fine. Got Sensei to block, so far so good. Now here, in my opinion, is one of his first mistakes. He's offered me the opportunity to overconcentrate his shape because he has this tiger mouth that I can poke at, right? So if you look at the tiger mouth that I can poke at, and now let's consider what happens if I cut here. Well, that's odd. Don't I have this one too? All of these forcing moves are what's kind of, perhaps beginning to overconcentrate our opponent. The more moves your opponent has against you that you have to respond to without gaining anything, the less efficient your stones are. So to avoid this, if he was thinking about his shape, he might be like, you know what, I'm going to play here instead. I can't do any of that poking stuff anymore. Immediately, he admits, I'm alive. He can't kill me. If he plays here, he opens himself up to a whole bunch of shape issues that he might have to keep going back and reading through. So instead of doing all of that, he can just go ahead and play this one for much, much, much better shape. And thus, we don't get overconcentrated. Cool. Instead, the game did not go that way. He did, in fact, play here. I did, in fact, poke this. I lived here because this was part of my Basic Man series. I went and lived because it took reading to figure out whether we were going to live or die here. We were going to live here. So, local loss here. Now, this is an interesting move because he is trying to avoid something as simple as this. If he plays something as simple as this, hello. Like, let's say you play something like this one. You can see that he's vastly overconcentrated because it's like so many stones for like 1, 2, 3. Very, very disgusting. So he's trying to get more off of his stones to ensure that he's not going to be overconcentrated. That's where this big boy comes in. And if I do something stupid, like, I don't know, I Hane on the inside, hello? I Hane on the inside, I get cut, and then, I don't know, this dies somehow. Then yeah, he won out just amazingly. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of territory, killed stones. What he wanted to do managed to actually happen. Good job on him. But of course, that's not what we did this game. Because I know what he was trying to do. So, I Hane on the other side. Because I can develop top. He went back. I connected. I could play here. But plain simple. He's extending to try to maximize this. So I'm immediately going to double Hane to try to overconcentrate him again. Like, I don't want this building. I want this being as low as possible, as small as possible, with as most amount of stones as possible. So he tries to cut through that and not be overconcentrated. He's not going to just be like, okay, that's fine. I'll just give you more and more influence while I just take 1, 2, 3, 4 by 4, 8, 12-ish points. With 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ooh, God. Taking a little bit more than 12 points, 11 stones. We once again can call that overconcentrated, can't we? Yes, we can. You can think about that in comparison. If I play a move over in here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Threatening 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and more. So yeah, you can see the difference between like what he's doing with his stones and what I'm doing with my stones. And one of these I have a higher efficiency rating than the other. So, alright, we got that. Breaking it down. That's how this entire fight here started. It's because I'm trying to overconcentrate him and he's trying to be like, oh, no, you ain't. Now that's how that fight came about. But the second half of it is also where we're starting to see overconcentrated stuff. Because remember, this bottom stuff is also overconcentrated because he didn't play the tiger mouth here. He played the tiger mouth here, which allowed for this one. And now this is starting to connect up and surround and just do terrible, terrible things to him. At this point, I mean, black should be as happy as can be. There should be no feasible way this game could be lost. He attaches, right? He doesn't. He should play here. Just give it a half-hearted attempt to destroy my shape. Like I don't see any alternative here. You can't just defend here. Because if I get good shape and he's got bad shape, I'm just going to win and he's just going to lose. But unfortunately, a lot of 7-dans are rather passive, so he did back off, which gives me chance to fix my shape problems. He decides to play a small move and defend this, but there's no good way to get shape here right now. So, I follow. He recognizes I'm getting influence, and yes, one of my next moves is going to be to play here to continue that theme of overconcentration, right? So he knows what I'm going to do next is going to be very, very bad for him. Like, I don't see how you win the game if I get to do this, because your territory is here and nowhere else, and it's just bad. So he took a educated gamble. Take the points. A lot of points on that bottom. But it means this group has no shape. Poke it into a stick. Keep jumping. Normally, these pokes aren't the greatest, but they're helping me defend against him invading me, so they're useful only because of that. But again, poked into a stick, he's trying to fight back, leaving this cutting point in place. I'm waiting to get a chance to go ahead and poke through. He says I never can. So again, we just keep jumping. It's like, hey, Mr. Stick, how you doing? Not a good thing. Same principle. He had a weak thing, we made it into a stick, and suddenly he has no points, and you can bet that this wall is going to be making a lot more points than whatever this was supposed to be. So, there you go, 7-dan level. You can see how the fight here was fighting over concentration. You saw how down in here, he could have avoided being over-concentrated, which would have helped him in the fight early on in the middle of the board. And then, of course, just this rather sticky situation he got into. And how his bad shape ensured that he couldn't stick around, and he had to really stick it to these little black stones. I ran out of stick puns. Sorry, I was going to go for one more. I couldn't think of anything. Let's go look at another game. So this one's actually going to feature overconcentration that's not bad. Sometimes being overconcentrated is actually a good thing. I'm black in this game, still 7-dan games. 3-4 facing me, which is, as you know, I love. Not a fan of this shape, but whatevs. Right, he plays Kobayashi, right. I'm just defending because, again, this is all on basic mana counts. So I'm trying to play really, really, really simple Go on the basic mana count. He's playing away. I'm just trying to develop. He's trying to overconcentrate me. That one. Right. All right, tangent. Really quickly here. Yeah, he's trying to overconcentrate me here. If I do something like I keep doing this, taking just 2 points per move, while he gets to potentially get more on the outside, that's also another way we can be overconcentrated. And also one of the reasons why the current variation is to hit here. Because I can go under or over. He usually responds. I just strengthen this. He responds, and then I'm done. I don't have to play here again. So I go in for an invasion because, yeah, as you can see, top of the board, what's he doing? He's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stones. We're trying to get how much territory is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's trying to get 45 put on top of the board with like 6 stones. You can't do that. You can't do that. So we're invading, and you'll notice something interesting going back and forth here. He kicks me, I'm coming out quickly, because if I'm too slow, maybe I can't escape. Cool, 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 understood. He's trying to cap me, to kill me, because he's not happy that I invaded him. I mean, it's not that bad. You can argue there's like a sector line going on here, right? Yeah, you got a pretty strong argument that there's like a sector line here that he's trying to keep me behind and kill. It's a little bit of a weak sector line because of shape. Like, this is a super duper large wobbly knight, or whatever this is called. This is a large knight. This is a huge extension. So, I mean, this in and of itself is easy to live with. Like, just real quickly, again, tangent, sorry. But let's say he wants to try to kill me here. I can go and do something like this. He has to not be dead. And, I mean, it looks like I am literally alive right now. Right? I mean, that's life. That was easy. Done. Over it. So, trying to kill me a little bit weird. I attach to him because I'm trying to overconcentrate these 2 stones, though. He Hana's back because he knows if I get to play this way, I might not be overconcentrated ever. And now I'm getting strong, getting eye shape is bad. So he fights back to try to stop me from doing that. And I fight back against him, trying to re-overconcentrate him. I'm trying to get him to put in a bunch of stones in one area. That's what we're just trying to do. He can't cut me because ladders kill him, so he plays here. I force feed him the 2 stones. It looks like I've succeeded. This looks a lot lighter than this, and now these 2 stones, or this group of stones here, are definitely in trouble. So he fights back against me, and this is where I make my mistake because I decide to get greedy and not just like cut my losses. I connect. And again, I could cut my losses and get out of here, but I connect this too because I'm being greedy and I'm trying to attack this. But now, my shape sucks because of this. That said, even after all of this, it's not terrible that I'm overconcentrated because the goal was to remove like 45 plus points off the board for white. Now, I derped a little bit in my invasion, but we didn't die and we're out, and my opponent didn't make anything besides what's over in here. So I'm overconcentrated now, but it met my goal of reducing. And a lot of times when you invade, you are going to be overconcentrated simply because you're horribly outnumbered. So just because you're overconcentrated in one area doesn't make that inherently a bad thing, because you got to be reasonable about what you can get away with. You can't invade into an area where you're or outnumbered and not have to play a bunch of stones to live, which is going to inherently overconcentrate you. That's just how that's going to work. That's how math works. I don't know what to tell you. So that's a good example there. Now, this game offers one other really good example of overconcentrating things where he would often did other things and I get to go back and pincer the stone that he didn't defend. He tries to attach similar that I did to get shape for himself. I'm very aware, just like he was, that if I'm not careful, he can get good shape and be completely fine. So we're fighting that, right. He's trying to not just be a target, right? You can see this. Not efficient shape here. There's no shape here, actually. So he's trying to lean on me. If I just do something like this, then maybe he wins out. Because maybe this influence can get something done. I don't know. Instead I push and cut. I'm trying to keep this isolated because it owes me a lot of moves and it has not given them to me yet. I cut through. Not the cleanest fight in the history of ever. But you can see here, we've kept him nicely isolated. Kept him nice and isolated. He's trying to... He overconcentrates me. Yeah. Because if he plays away, I get this one in. So I have a knight here. Okay. Yep, cool. He's trying to run away. And immediately we're doing that. This was a bit of a mistake because that Hane sucks. We're doing that whole over-concentrating thing again. We're turning our opponent into a stick. But whereas I was able to get at least some shape and get out, he has no shape to come out with. So he is regrettably in a lot more trouble than I am. And even if he lives here now, later on, I can go ahead and do whatever. Later on, I can go ahead and maybe just keep making some points up in here, which is going to be more than he gets here, even if he lives with this group that's making no points right now. So you can kind of see how that's happening. So nice example so far involving sticks. Now what I want to show you here is recognizing that that kind of thing is about to happen and taking steps to avoid it. So here I was white against 7 down again. Right, he enclosed, I blocked, because again, we're still on basic man, so we're playing pretty simple stuff. The attachment, like I said, we see a lot of it nowadays. Because I've got the K17 stone and I got a 4/4 here, this is all open. I go for the influence here. I don't have to play here ever again. He's low and uninteresting at the moment. I've got some influence. We can build it off of it or not, whatever. Getting a little bit of a wall into an extension. Now here's his first attempt to overconcentrate me. If I play something like this, he can play something like this, and then suddenly, oh no, it's very inefficient and I'm under attack. Bad news bears. So we dodged it once here by playing this one, because these 2 stones are a bit of a scam. Notice how he's going to try to cut through me. He's not trying to cut through here, because he doesn't really want these 2 stones. He wants more. He goes through here instead. We create 2 cutting points. He defends that way. Okay. I come out because there's a bit of a liberty shortage here. He plays a way to grow. I grab my enclosure. And instantly he's going to try to over-concentrate my group, because I'm using this area to grow to that enclosure. And he's probably a little bit unhappy at the prospect of white growing right now, because you have to keep in mind that, you know, you can still, like, live back in here, right? So his territory is all on the bottom of the board. So, okay, he plays here. I play here. He shoulder hits me. I am not answering directly. I'm trying to play nice and loose and keep myself from being horribly overconcentrated. He takes this one because of my cutting point. Right. Now I extend. And from here, we're going to very carefully avoid being overconcentrated. Here's an easy trap to be overconcentrated. Let's say I play here. He takes. I have a cutting point. Oh gosh, darn it. I'm going to connect. He gets to lean on me. Well, I guess I'm going to respond to that. I don't want to be surrounded there, so I guess I'm going to do it again, and then he gets to, like, do that too, and then, well, I guess I need to connect up, and then not be surrounded. And yeah, I'm alive, but I'm overconcentrated AF, and he's connected up all the things. That is a great example of how I'm just going to be screwed. He leans on me to keep me low, pokes at my my shape points, and because I'm committed to, you know, not doing anything meaningful, I just let him do every last move his heart desires until end of the game, which is pretty much right here. Instead of that, we recognize what he's trying to do. Instead of that variation, we're like, okay, you know what? It's too small to defend this cutting point right now. I've got to make this into something that I can use. Mission accomplished. The cut point still doesn't work. Right? We got that. Cut point's been protected. We're not over-concentrated. And now we're back to building again. If he wants to do something like this, this is completely fine because this area is a scam. He can't actually take this one right now unless he invests in it again. And even if he invests in it, this area is going to be worth way more than this. So we're absolutely happy. And it's night and day to a variation like this where we just kind of responded and let ourselves get crunched up and we didn't counterattack or grow or any of that stuff. So here we're defending it lightly and still building. Here we defended it heavy and we got scrunched down and lost the game instantly. Very, very big differences between these two variations. Let's see, what did he actually do in the game? Yeah, he launched into yet another reduction here. But the problem with that is now I'm going to be able to do things like this later. It looks like we're giving him a lot, but we're not really because I'll go ahead and show this. There's a wraparound here where he's going to have to turn into this kind of shape. The act of killing these 2 stones over-concentrates. Because now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stones that we're essentially just killing the 2. I'm fine with it. You fine with it? You're fine with it too. So gotta be careful of, again, being forced to just kill low amount of stones with a high amount of stones. That makes sense? You following along so far? Following along so far? I feel like going over this kind of quickly. But I can already say I've been at this for an hour. So I hope you're keeping up. And real quickly, the follow-up of this. He tries to live here after I pincered him. Unfortunately, we've been able to manage to keep him from living locally. Which means he's got to keep running away. Like, he actually, if he plays away right now, there's a non-zero chance he actually has no eyes here. So all this is just forcing that stick again to just run and run and run. And we can profit on the top. We can profit in the middle. This is going to get reduced by the fact that this is running and everything is going well. And it's all began because we went back here and we recognized what Black was trying to do. And we just said, no. You are not doing that. All right, real quickly, here's another game. Another one of my 7-9 games. I'm Black in this one. And this game is going to feature avoiding over-concentration again. Backs off, I get a base. Unfortunately, this is on my Dwyrin account. And so, I don't know. This is on my Dwyrin account, but I was channeling basics. It's weird, don't ask. Don't ask. Suffice to say, we get in this position where he wants to settle, and I'm fine with letting him settle because he's low. I didn't want to be put into this kind of thing where maybe I'm going to be very, very concentrated. Not happy with that. So here's the first example of avoiding it. Now I have him low instead of me, which I'm happy with. You make sure he's not surrounded. We're doing the approach thing. You can tell I'm not completely doing basics because I'm provoking cutting points and fights and things like that. Because, you know, it's fun. And now here, something fun's going to happen. We get into this fight in the middle. Where his corner's not 100%. My middle's not 100%. It's kind of up in the air on both sides, right? I tap his corner. He says I'm alive. Okay. This is Ajikeshi, but I wasn't sure where I wanted my move to be. In the end, I decided to play here. The other option was just to say, I'm just going to play here instead. Because I don't think he could do anything here even if he cuts me, but I opted in the end to go ahead and just play this one. He plays here, which is a little weird. I would have played here, but... Or maybe here? I'm not sure. This feels a little strange to me. I come out, a little bit slow. And now he's trying to over-concentrate my position. That's what this stone is doing. Now, I can go with it for a little while because it's a cutting stone. But note this move here. Imagine right now if I actually protect these 2 stones. He can go here and threaten to kill my 3. And then he can go here and poke at my shape again. And then poke at my shape again. And now suddenly, this group is just overconcentrated and terrible. We do not like this position in any stretch of the imagination. It's just so bad. But the problem is, he played this move here, and I responded to it. That was stupid. That has nothing to do with the fight. These stones right here, utterly useless. So, I Hane back, which keeps these nicely isolated and gives me shape. But that is something you have to be completely on the lookout for in your games. Because one freaking move, my shape is terrible and I'm never getting it back ever again. But that was slow, so we dodged it and we don't get overconcentrated this game. Right? Because, you know, we're on the lookout for that, so it's not going to happen to us anymore, right? Right? I'm sure it's not going to. Don't let me down. He's trying to do things and stuff. But, yeah. Attack is now firmly on his group and not on mine. Alright, so we fast forward a little bit in the game. You can see that he's kind of leaving this group behind to play over here, understandably so. If I just get to do a 2-space enclosure here when he has next to no points, I mean, he's just going to flat out lose the game right then and there. So he's overplaying a little bit and making second group, and you'll notice that I'm still looking for ways to poke at his shape, and he's trying to leave no bad shape behind, because he knows if he has 2 weak groups, he's screwed. But still, it's a small knight, so it wants to be cut through. So I ask, can I cut through you? Now, I anticipate the answer to that is going to be no, which I am completely fine with, because it puts me at the position where I can lean on these groups and just do an easy splitting attack. Because here, for example, go away white, we can see that this is not alive locally. So if this has to run, we follow it and bam, done, game over. One or the other, completely nice, smooth, clean kill. Because we overconcentrated him, and then we pincered him. But unfortunately, he did not let me do that to him, so he tries to come out. Regretfully, he does still get overconcentrated here. He is a stick. Again, very, very common for that to keep coming up. Just rendering our opponent into sticks over and over and over and over and over again. Watching our shape. Because if I play something like here, maybe he can throw in here. Hello. Maybe something like this one, and maybe this one too, and just completely huge difference, though I think I could probably still kill that, actually. Yeah, that onto that probably still kills him. Anyway. We're just going ahead, not letting him connect, very, very, very important. Defending our shapey points, very, very important as well. Connecting up here, I admitted in-game was really, really slow, but he has 2 weak groups, doesn't really matter. So whatever he does, I can do something to the other group when he defends himself. Because he can't defend this group because it was made heavy and having to escape while there was another one. And that was a cost of just seeing, you know what, your shape here is almost okay, but you did still leave a weak point. Maybe he would have been better with a nice tight formation here. A little bit harder to use that effectively against him, in my opinion. But even just doing this one instead of this, because yeah, there's an obvious problem, right? You're just gonna play there, and something like that one, or maybe you just clamp here directly, and then before you know it, you're under attack in all the places. But still, not a perfect shape. So even something as tight as this, we can get free moves off of. And the minute he identified, well, I don't want to be in this shape, where I'm not alive, potentially. Then he comes out, he lets me to really stick it to him. And the game just turns sad from there on out. So I hope you're able to see really easy ways that I was able to be vigilant and watch for the overconcentration attempts on my shape, you can see how I was able to turn around and make attempts to overconcentrate my opponent's shape, and the rather huge kind of game swing effects that sort of thing has. Now, the clock on the wall that I don't have says that I've been doing this for over an hour and 5 minutes now, so I think I'm going to cut this video here and see what it turned down to in editing. There might be a part 2 to this video in the future. Travoke, hope this met your expectations with the 100,000 channel points that you spent to have this topic explored. And as always, I'll see you fine folks next time. Take care, everyone.